Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with daily technical update. It is Monday the 3rd of March and today we'll start with S&P 500 and have a look at what's going on there. And we had a very strong bounce Friday from after almost closing the gap. It was only a few cents from it here. We had a close of 58.61 and the gap was 58.59, so 2 points of it. It then opened lower but moved all the way back above the cloud, back above the 100 moving average. That's a very strong bounce. However, still negative sentiment on the RSI. We are in a bearish mode, but it is a little bit hanging on by its nails here after closing back above the cloud, back above 5,955. So the next few days could be crucial here. Pre-market we are ticking up about 0.25%. So let's see where we end. Can it actually get back or not? If it takes out Friday's lows, well, then expect a massive sell-off down to at least 5,700 area. The Nasdaq 100 also a strong bounce off, actually a minor support here at 20,538. Very strong bounce, but still below the cloud, below 100 moving average. Bearish mode, negative sentiment. We are up about 0.25% here pre-market, but there's still a little bit of way to go before we open in US. So let's see what happens. We could expect a little bit of bounce here the next few days, but I don't think we will go back into full-blown bullish mode once again. I think we will be under pressure. And the Dow Jones index, however, actually very strong close here. Friday back above the clouds. It actually closed in the clouds, so it was in a little bit of neutral position above key support 42,927 and above this gap area. That is crucial. Negative sentiment on the RSI, however, but I think maybe we could bounce a little bit. That will be interesting to see. Could we actually close the gap up to 44,177? If we can do that, then there could be more positive tones for the Dow Jones index. So the next few days could be quite crucial here. If it starts sliding back on again here and back below the cloud, then the 42,927 key support could be crucial. Let's have a look at Nikkei. The Nikkei index future, Nikkei 225 index future, broke below its slightly rising trend line here. Here's on the daily chart. Let's just zoom in a little bit. A massive move there on the last trading day of February, opening and trading fairly unchanged there this early morning, but it was a massive move, and now there could be potential down to the area around 35,000. Negative sentiment, bearish trend. It seems like the Japanese stocks, they are really under pressure at the moment. Here on the weekly, we can see it was quite a big sell-off below the 55 moving average. Still above the cloud, still above the 100 moving average, but we could see a push down to that and maybe down to the area here around the 35,000. In Europe, another okay day Friday. Last day of the month, there was a little bit of positivity coming in here in the early morning. It has opened high about 0.5% in Europe. So it seems like it is still keeping up and can get it back above 5,500 maybe, and even take out the peaks here. That would be key. If it takes out the lows Friday, expect a sell-off down to 5,356, maybe even down to around 5,300. And we can see here it is already starting. Here is the EU50 CFD future. That has opened up about 0.5%. DAX, let's zoom in a little bit. Let's see, we're close to Friday on a positive note, and here in the early session here of the CFD, well, we can see it actually open 0.75% higher. So maybe we could see another push to see if we can get above 23,000. Key support will be the low here from the 21st at 22,115. Could come under pressure, especially if we see it taking out Friday's low at 22,213. Then we could have sell-off below 22,000. But for now, it's still holding on to the positive trend and positive sentiment. On the Forex front and euro dollar, hovering around the 104 area, key support resistance, now back above, a little bit below, so that's where that's the story at the moment. Around the 55 moving average also still in the cloud here, so kind of neutral, but we are under pressure, and if it starts sliding low and takes out Friday's low, expect a sell-off down below 103, 102.80. The RSI still in a slightly positive sentiment, but if it closes below 40 threshold, then expect a push well below 103. Key support at 105.35. The sterling dollar minor support here at 125.60. Dancing around that level, still in a positive still in a positive sentiment. There should be room up to 127.80, 128, where we have some strong resistance also with the 200 moving average coming in here. But if it starts sliding below 125.60, then we could see it move down to around the 55 moving average, which is around the 124.70. Euro sterling in a bearish trend, negative sentiment. There is potential down to around 82.25. Then I think we will see it bounce again. To establish a bullish trend at least, it needs to take out 83.05 level. Then it maybe could build up something, but overall trend is bearish. Also, as we can see here on the weekly, we are in a bearish trend. Dollar yen bounced late last week, it reached the 38.2 retracement just below 151, 150.95, being rejected a little bit there. It is not unlikely that we could get up to the 61.8 at 152.40 and the 42 and the 200 moving average. That's the 61.8 retracement. If it takes out today's peak just above 151, if it takes out 148.56, well, then there is potential much lower, and we can see here on the weekly where it is very strong support here at 148.65 area. Excuse me. If it takes out, well, then we are in back in the bearish trend down here. But we could see a bounce up here, maybe forming a shoulder head shoulder pattern, but that's too early to call. So next few days could be a little bit crucial. Euro yen, fairly muted bounce really. Let's remove this one. Up to the 38.2 retracement. If it takes out today's peak, well, then we could see a bounce up to the 61.8 at 158.75. But we are in a bearish trend really, and there is potential down to 153 short term. Aussie yen, not really much of a bounce, just a pause. In fact. But there could be a little bit bounce up, and that would be as minor one up to 94.48. 61.8 retracement and 95.57 is not unlikely after a massive sell-off that we see a little bit of a bounce, and then the next wave down. We are in negative sentiment, a little bit oversold, but we are in a negative sentiment. There's no divergence indicating lower levels. Also sterling yen bouncing a little bit, just getting up to 191 is not much of a correction. We are in a bearish trend, but it was holding on above these levels here, so maybe it has thrown it a little bit of lifeline. But if it takes out the lows here from last week at 187.68, well, then expect the minor support here at 186.75 to be broken. Aussie dollar, well, negative sentiment, bearish trend below support at 62.30, below the cloud, below the 555 moving average. Over the next few days, I think we could see a push down to around 61.30, 61 area. it has resumed downtrend after being rejected here at the upper part of cloud and the 100 moving average. It could bounce a little bit above this pivot point, I would say here, but this resistance at 62.30, but I think it won't get above 63. If it does, then maybe we will have a different situation, but 63, I don't think it will get much higher than that. The dollar Canada, we talked about last week, it could push higher, and I still think it could push even higher, now taking back half of this sell-off here. Bounce to the 50%, I think we will still see a move up to the 61.8 at 145, 48, 145 and a half, maybe even up to the 786 at 146, 56 area. We are in a positive sentiment. We are above the cloud. We are above 55 moving average. The 100 and 200, they are both rising. So the underlying trend is bullish. So we could see a push higher here in the coming days and weeks. Not without corrections, of course. Beware of that. Sterling Canada pausing here, quite volatile around 182. I would expect a correction maybe down to 180 before another push higher. Euro Swiss tested support here at 93.30 this morning. No, sorry, that was Friday. Bouncing, I think we could see a bounce here, but there will be strong resistance. As you can see, the 200 moving average coming down here, really giving some strong resistance. But it's not unlikely we could see a push up to around 94.50. If it takes out 93.30, then expect a push down to around these minor support levels here, around the 92.80, a bit stronger here at 92.5. On the dollar Swiss had a fairly strong bounce off the 100 moving average and support at 89.15. We now have some resistance at the 90 and 55 level here, and the 55 moving average and the upper part of the cloud. So that would be a little bit of a struggle for dollar Swiss to get up there. If it starts sliding back lower, then again 89.15 is a support. We are in a negative sentiment, so keep an eye on this range here. That could be crucial. Dollar index also bounced, but still below the 55 moving average, still below the cloud area, still negative sentiment on the RSI, but support here at 106 area, that will be key. If it gets back above 108.42 and back above the cloud, well, then we are back in bullish trend. Is the gold correction over? It spiked down to minor support here at 28.34. I have removed the 28.54, but we can add it here, then you can see what actually happens. Here we are. So around this, it spiked down to the 28.34 minor support. Didn't get all the way down to the 38.2 retracement and 28.14, which was a little bit of a surprise, really. It can still do that. But it closed Friday above 28.54, which is a little bit sign of strength, actually. And if it can start pushing a higher above 2900, then I think we could see uptrend resuming, if it then can get also back above the rising trend line. So we are a little bit still in correction mode. It's just a question of how much. If it takes out the lows here from Friday, well, then we could see a push actually below 28.14, maybe down to 2800 and 2790. The previous resistance and now a support area. Silver spiked below $31 Friday, still above the cloud, still positive sentiment, bounced off the 40 threshold down here. If it can get back above 32, well, then uptrend could resume. Copper, some strong support here at, oh, that was the wrong one, sorry. There we are. Strong support here around 450, bounced once again Friday, but for now a little bit of sideways trading. I would keep an eye on the support here just around 450. It spiked a little bit below here last week, but if it takes out that, well, then we are looking at 440, maybe even lower to 432. But it should bounce higher here. There's still positive sentiment. There's no divergence indicating likely higher levels. On the energy side and crude oil here, WTI bounced off minor support here at 68.42. Still in a bearish trend, and I think it will take it out eventually, and we will see a push down to around 62.70, around 67 level. The Brent crude oil still above the 72 minor support. There could be a push down to 71, maybe even 70 area. We are in a bearish trend, lower lows, lower highs, and so on. The Dutch TTF gas, or European gas, strong bounce. We had this bullish engulfing there forming 27th of February. I think we'll see at least up to the 48.15. If it takes out that, well, then we could see even further bounce, especially if we get the RSI back above 60 threshold, and we will then also be back above the cloud, so then it could be a push up to around 52.5. On the US nat gas and Henry Hub, Friday closed below the 390 level. Could see a drop down to test the 55 moving average, even maybe spiking down to 355, which is the 61.8 retracement, and then I think we'll see a bounce and maybe a trend, uptrend resuming. Positive sentiment on the RSI is still there, and no divergence, so indicating we will see a bounce eventually. It's just about how big the correction will be. The US 10-year Treasury yields below 200 moving average Friday, but now moving back above. But it is in a bearish trend. It has potential down to 415, 412 here. We could dip to that before a stronger bounce. Strong resistance here at 440. It really needs to get back above that for at least establishing a bit of a bullish trend. And if we're looking at the weekly chart, we can see what's actually also going on there. It's actually below this falling trend line that it broke above. The entire mood has actually changed quite a bit in a few days, or about a week. So the 2-year massive drop to end February, below 4%, 398. It could drop even further. Well, it will do that or not, but there is no support until around the 395 and 388 down here. So massive drop really, but I think we'll see a little bit of bounce here in the early days of this week. On the European yields, we have the European 10-year. Let's just zoom in a little bit, where we can see it actually bounced a little bit here this early morning from the 240. They actually closed below 240 Friday, but bounced a little bit, but we're still below the 55 moving average. If it moves back above 245, then I think we'll see uptrend resuming, but for now we are in a corrective phase, a little bit of a bearish. The UK 10 opening higher this morning. We can see just opening higher there, but also in a corrective phase. Key support here at 440, 438. If it moves back above the peak there at 464, well, then uptrend has resumed. Strong bounce in cryptocurrencies yesterday or over the weekend, after Bitcoin reached the 786 retracement at 77,700. Very strong bounce indeed. Started actually already Friday, a little bit, then Saturday, and then yesterday really a massive move back to test the rising trend line here, the lower rising trend line, and if it can get back above that, and especially back above this falling trend line here, then we could be back in a bullish mode again, or bullish trend again. So keep an eye on. But first take, it actually got rejected, a little bit of a setback. The Ethereum bounced off the 2100. These lows back here from August, September last year, bounced strongly there, in trading around the 2500. Still in a bearish trend, but a fairly strong bounce. If it takes out the lows here from over the weekend, just below 2100, well, then there could be further selling pressure kicking in. Otherwise, maybe a bounce up to a trend around 2800. All right, so that's all for today. Have a nice day, and talk to you later.